Okay, let's see if this works. I just broke the selfie stick this GoPro normally sits on, so instead I put it on just on the tripod and stuck it back here. What you're looking at here is the last sword thing that I bought at that gun auction. Gun auction. What this is a Japanese sword set. Now this is a cheap knockoff. It is not real, and it saddens me, but oh, I just noticed something. There. Yeah, it's cheap, all right. Anyway, what this represents, though, is the Katana, Wakasaschi, and Tanto, the three swords of a Japanese samurai, of a gentleman of that era. And this is supposed to be representing, I think this is like a knockoff cheap paper or plastic or something, but it's supposed to look like eel skin. I don't see the two pins that are supposed to hold the hilt together. I don't see the way of removing the cross piece. These are American made, or maybe Indian made, or maybe Chinese made for all I know. Cheap knockoffs that you'd probably pick up at some mall store back in the day. But they only cost me 20 bucks. So, you know, as a wall hanger, they look good. You know, let me show you the Tanto. It's the easiest to get to. It's somebody uses it to cut cheese. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, by the way, I don't know much about Chinese or Japanese swords. I do know that the best book on the subject of the samurai is A Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. Now, Musashi was to the samurai what Clausewitz was to the Germans, what Sun Tzu was to the Chinese, what was his name? Maurice de Saxe was to the French. A military genius and a master swordsman. There is a story of him taking an oar and beating off something like 4 other skilled samurai with samurai swords from where he was in a contemplative hermitage on an island somewhere. He was also a great painter. And if you find any copy of the Book of Five Rings, you'll find in it facsimiles of Musashi's oil, or I guess they're watercolor paintings. Anyway, the main sword of the samurai was the katana, the longsword. The one thing I do know about them is right here on the edge. Do you see that line? I don't know if you can see it in the light. The little ripply pattern here, that's called the hamon. And basically it's a product of when you make the sword, the blade is coated in clay and then fired for the last time. And this area here is usually inscribed by the master swordsman with his sign, his mark. And that mark is called a hamon. And this one is just a repeating pattern. Looks like it was put on by a machine, and it looks awful. And it doesn't look like a real hamon, but it looks enough like one to fool some dumb American, like me. Hey, 20 bucks. It's worth it. And they have a nice stand they came with, and these little dingly thingies that I have no idea what the heck they are. And yeah, it looks sort of like cheap eel skin, but it's not eel skin. A real Japanese samurai sword is worth 6 or 7 figures. If it's there's one, the crown sword of the emperor, lost during World War II, never was recovered. If it was ever found, it would be worth probably tens of millions of dollars. But it should be back in the royal collection in Japan, but it's never been found. If you know where it is, I'm sure there's a few Japanese people that'd be more than happy to pay you for it, no questions asked. But this is just for show. These are wall hangers. These will never be used the way they were designed. I have a real sword for that. And if it ever comes to the fact that I have to use a sword instead of a gun, I'm in deep doo-doo. Because I can make powder. I can make primers. I can make caps. I can knap flint. I think I know my way around a firearm. I can fix things. My eyes are not as they were when I was younger, but and I need some younger bucks to help me out with some things. But basic things, I know a little bit about it. Anyway, that's the end of my sword collection for now.